Hi folks, this is a Hexahedra devlog full of new gameplay features. It's really satisfying to build a factory and then watch it follow your commands to achieve the objective. And it might take a few goes to get that right, but that just makes victory all the sweeter when all the carefully orchestrated parts finally come together. And over the last month, I've added new features to Hexahedra to help you build delightfully efficient factories. And I'll start with the headline things. I've added a new device and a new command. The new device is a thing called the panel sensor. This model was originally meant to be the shaker that would grab hold of a cube and give it a shake, and that was meant to work as part of a paint mixing mechanic that I had planned. Now I've decided that that's not the most interesting mechanic, but what I have realised as I've been building more complex levels is that what the game could really do with is another way to branch the logic flow of your factory. So we already have the laser, which branches based on colour, and there's the weigher, which isn't implemented yet, but will branch based on cube mass. But now we have the panel sensor, which branches based on whether or not the cube has a panel facing the sensor. Now it still works in the same way, it still tries to grab hold of that panel and give the cube a shake, and it branches the logic based on whether or not that is successful. That means that we now have 3 different branching devices, and the panel sensor is actually the simplest, so it's the one I'll introduce first as you progress through the game. There's also a new command which will make more elegant solutions possible, and that is the home command. Now, this command doesn't make the workstation do anything to the cube directly. What it does is it resets the workstation's logic flow back to the start of the first command track. And you can use this to avoid having lots of dead time in your workstation, and I find it particularly useful when I finished running around a loop and I want to break out and immediately jump back to the start of the logic. Hexahedra now also tracks your best performance for each puzzle across several categories. So if you come up with a more efficient solution, maybe one that runs more quickly or one that uses fewer commands, then the game will flag that up and it will store that new personal best. Now I haven't finalised yet exactly which stats it will track, so do let me know in the comments which categories you'd like to see. Since there might be more than one person in your household who wants to play Hexahedra, the game now supports multiple profiles that you can switch between, and it tracks progress through the puzzles and personal bests for each one. So if you want to compete with other people, you can have each person's progress tracked separately. Now, I've also been busy with lots of other things to get the game ready for playtesting, which is when you guys will be able to have a go at optimising a factory for yourself. So I finished another new device, which is this thing, the Decorator, this lovely rocket-powered device that stamps a decal onto the side of a cube. And if you've been following the dev streams, you'll know that I finished the code for this a long way back, but I held off implementing the Unity side while I got on with other things. But I've decided that this is a good device to introduce early on in the tutorial because it's a pretty straightforward device, so I've now gone back and finished that off. I don't have final artwork for the decals yet, so I used one of the ninjas for the time being, so you can now stamp ninja faces onto the side of cubes. I've also fixed up a device that I never quite finished off, which is the Panel Adder Remover. Now this pulls panels off cubes and stores them, and it can put them back later. And learning how to use this device well will be an integral part of producing elegant solutions. It's worked for a while, but the animation wasn't included and the panels got stored in a slightly odd position, but it's now working as intended. When I published the last devlog, the feature I was just starting to work on was the tooltip system, which kind of worked but wasn't exactly very informative. But this is now working, and it's very context sensitive, so this tooltip in the command panel that lets you add new commands just says trigger left device, but once you've dragged it into the workstation, in this case it changes to trigger red spray painter, because that's the device on the left in that workstation, and it's able to gather together all that information to give you the most helpful tooltip. I've also integrated the music into the game, and I've added a menu system, which is another step towards a playable build. And the playtesting isn't too far away. I'll be asking for volunteers soon, and I'll be asking a small number of people to have a one-to-one session with me over an hour or two where I'll watch you play the game and then ask you what you thought of it and ask about your gaming background. And I'll be paying people for their time for this. So if that's something you're interested in, then do sign up to the newsletter. There's a link in the description. But in the meantime, if you just want to keep up with the game's development, do subscribe to the channel, and there are some more links in the description about places you can go to get more information. But thanks for watching. I'm really looking forward to seeing some of you solve puzzles for the first time soon, and I'll see you next time.